Israel says it now wants the immediate release of all hostages. Hamas insists on moving forward with negotiations for a permanent peace plan. That was the terms of the original truce. Well, let's cross live to Jerusalem to our correspondent there, Noga Tarnopolsky. Noga, what more can you tell us about the Israeli airstrikes?
Good morning. Yes, they started at 2:20 in the morning with an announcement from the Office of the Prime Minister that he and the Defense Minister had ordered a return to war. This does signify, from the Israeli and I think the Gazan point of view, an end to the ceasefire process that started on January 19th. And that was supposed to have continued with a phase two. The original agreement was a three-phase deal signed on by Israel, which included a return to negotiations for phase two on day 16, and then eventually the release of all hostages by Hamas and an Israeli military withdrawal from Gaza to a perimeter, withdrawal from the Gaza-Egypt border, and a declaration of the end to the war. Israel moved away from this agreement 2 weeks in to phase one by its refusal to continue those negotiations it has signed on to. And now, with the support of the Trump administration, it has chosen to return to war. The Israeli government says this is the only way to prod Hamas back to good faith negotiations over the hostages. However, the number one opponents of this plan, of this new posture here inside Israel, are the families of those hostages still in Gaza. In particular, families of at least 24, 25 Israelis still thought to be alive in the hands of Hamas in Gaza, and they are continuing massive protests today.
And Noga, if I've understood correctly, Hamas still wanted to enter those negotiations for that second phase, and the release of hostages would have been part of that second phase of a potential ceasefire. But Israel now says there's a new US plan that Hamas needs to sign up to. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, although we've not seen it. There's been a lot of talk, especially on the Israeli side, of new plans. In other words, Israel, it appears, never actually planned to continue on to phase two, despite signing on the initial agreement, and wanted to propose alternatives, some of which it has attributed to the American Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, who in fact has been more busy with Russia-Ukraine matters in recent days than here. But those plans, we heard different versions, that 5 hostages out of the 59 would be released, possibly 11, that it was a Witkoff plan or an Israeli plan, unclear. In any event, Hamas refused all along consistently to change in any way the original plan worked on by both the Biden and the Trump administrations, by Qatar and by Egypt, and signed on by both Israel and Hamas. Hamas never budged from that position. A declaration of the end of the war was important to it, especially so it could show that it had survived the Israeli assault, that it was still alive and in charge in Gaza. This was the Hamas hope, and it never really entered negotiations for any alternative.
Finally, Noga, where do you see things going from here? Just a full return to full-on war?
For now, that's what we're seeing. In the south of Israel, schools have been cancelled. All public transportation has been cancelled. The air defenses are back engaged. It feels like a very sudden, Israelis woke up to war again. In Israel, this is an extremely unpopular position right now. The vast majority of Israelis oppose this, but that appears to be the government plan. We're hearing for now that, for example, schools and public transportation have been canceled for at least the next 2 days. So that's an indication of the minimum length of this return to war. But I think we all know that once you relaunch a war, it's very hard to foresee how it will end.
Absolutely. Noga Tarnopolsky, thanks very much indeed for bringing us those details and clarity on the situation.